What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the layout. I know it's kind of a mess right now, especially this Amtrak car, but in today's video, we are going to be looking at weathering our train cars, and we are about to get into that in a second. So, I went to a hobby shop that's by my girlfriend's house down in New Jersey called AAA Hobbies. And I found this hobby shop, about, a little while ago. And I've been going there for a little while, and I just stumbled across this stuff. It's AK Interactive's weathering set, locomotives, and wagons. And I have been absolutely obsessed with this stuff. I've been just weathering I started off with old train cars, and now I've kind of gone into older locomotives that I know I can't transfer into DCC. My steam locomotives over there are kind of weathered too, and I've just been absolutely obsessed. So I'm going to take you guys through the process of weathering train cars and locomotives on your layout with this, because I haven't really seen this on YouTube all that much. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start off with your AK Interactive's trains weathering set here. There's 3 weathering washes that come into this. There's the neutral gray wash. We have our streaking grime and our rust streaks. In my personal opinion, if you're going to do darker steam locomotives, or like darker locomotives like Norfolk Southern, or maybe even BNSF or the Pennsylvania Railroad, I would recommend picking up the streaking grime for dark vehicles. I've noticed that there's a very big difference. If I can find it, it's somewhere around here. I have this Pennsylvania Railroad train car that I weathered yesterday, and the streaking grime looks a lot better on it. The older streaking grime, or the darker streaking grime looks a lot better on it than the newer stuff. And I recommend starting with old train cars. This is one of my first test pieces. It doesn't even have like a bottom half to it, so I thought I'd start with something older. You can kind of see that there's like that streaking effect. That's kind of the streaking grime. I didn't put any of the rust on this because, I didn't really want to go that deep for the first couple cars. But we're going to come over here. We're going to grab a box car. That's kind of what I've been starting off with, because I have just tons and tons and tons of box cars that I need to put microtrains couplers on or something like that. And I start with like older locomotives. Like you see there, that's the Pennsylvania Railroad's F unit, and it's just kind of like an older locomotive. I can't upgrade it to DCC, and I gradually am making my way up to the DCC locomotives. So in this video, we're going to move up to, maybe if I'm feeling comfortable, we're going to move up to this Southern Pacific C44 9W. But yeah, so we're going to start off with our box car here. So we have our box car here. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with our gray wash. That's kind of going to be our base for everything. So we're just going to put these guys aside, and we're going to grab a paintbrush here. It doesn't matter kind of the paintbrush. Oh, and you're also going to need some enamel or Tester's enamel thinner, just because this is an enamel wash. You're going to want to shake it kind of a little bit, not too much, and you're going to screw the cap here, and we're going to just dip our brush in, and we are going to just slather all of that on there. Make sure it gets in all of the crevices here. We want to make sure that we kind of get a lot on here. Don't worry, it's going to all get, cleaned up later. So we're going to just slather it all on here, just like this. so that we get a nice coat of that gray wash here on our whole locomotive, or sorry, train car. And we want this to kind of be pretty damp. We don't want it to be too dry. I've noticed that the drier that it is, the less comes off. But if you want your cars to be really gray and grimy, you guys can let it dry for a second. And you guys can always practice with like train cars and all of that to see what kind of how long you need it to dry for and all of that. So we're just gonna let it rest here for a second, and then we're gonna come right on back to it. So I didn't really give it too long to dry here, and now what we're going to do is kind of move the camera down so you guys can see a little bit better, just like that. There we go. And so we have our box car here. So now we're going to take a nice brush here, not too nice, but not too raggedy. And what we're going to do is we're just going to dip it in our enamel thinners, and we're going to dry it off just a little bit. And we're just going to kind of do like these circles. I've noticed the circles work the best. And we're just going to circle that brush around on there. And we are going to just get as much of that off as we want. Again, it's your guys' railroad, so you guys can have it weathered however you'd like it. I'm kind of going for more of a mild weathering effect on this. So we're just going to wash it around. If the weathering, if the wash gets to be too much on there, you could always wipe it off. We're just going to wipe it around here. Get as much of that stuff off as we want to. And we kind of want to push it into like the corners where all of that grime is normally accumulated at. Just because, you know, we want it to be as realistic as possible. I do know that AK Interactive makes like books and stuff where you can like kind of look at how that weathering gets to be. We're just going to keep wiping our brush around, trying to keep it in the camera here. Sorry, this is my first time kind of doing something like this, so I'm sorry if it's a little wonky. So we're just gonna brush it all around, get it in those little spots there. And if we feel like there's a little bit too much, what I like to do is I like to take like a little piece of paper towel, and I like to just dab to make sure that I'm not getting too many lines on there, because we're going to come in again with that streaking grime so that we can make it look a little bit more grimy with those streaks. And we're going to brush it all around again, make sure we get a lot of that, you know, wash off of there. And we don't, as we keep going, we don't want too much enamel thinners on the brush, just so that we don't wreck that nice coat. And we don't want to take too much off. There we go. Yeah, we're just gonna come in nicely here. Push it down, make it go downwards, because that's kind of where all the grime accumulates at. And we will call that it. Maybe just a little bit more. So, this is kind of what it looks like now with that gray wash added onto it. You guys can always stop here if you're like, oh wow, that looks really nice, and we want to make it just not too grimy, but also, you know, just make it look a little tethered and weathered, instead of it being kind of like that big color and like not looking Like, this is what the other side looks like. It doesn't look like, it just looks brand new. And if we just kind of want to put that color onto it to make it look like it's kind of been used a little bit, I guess I could, you know, wash a little bit more away. Sorry, it's just sometimes the look comes off, or you look at it again, it's not the way you want it. So just whatever consistency you want it. Oh, my wheel set came off. Whatever way you want to get it to look, that's how you want it, because it's up to you and it's about your railroad. So yeah, I'm not going to stop here. We're going to move on to the next thing. But yeah, if you guys wanted to stop here, that's awesome too. I think it looks awesome like this, but for my railroad, I kind of want, with the area I'm modeling, I kind of want it to be a little bit more grimy. So I'm going to let this dry for a second, and I'm going to go around and do the rest of it off camera, and I will be right back. Alrighty, guys, so I have let this boxcar sit for a little bit after I have kind of gone over everything, kind of get it the look I want it to. Actually, there's a little portion here that I kind of want to get a little less on, so let me do that really fast. But I've let this boxcar sit for a little bit, maybe 30-ish minutes, I'd say, just so that the wash could dry a little bit so that it's not too messed up as we go along. And I have brought out my 2 streaking grimes next. What we're going to start off with is we're going to start off with our just regular streaking grime. I always start off with this one because it's not too vibrant and it's not going to be too much on the model. So I start off with this, and then if it's not light enough, then I come out with this and I go over it with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something kind of different. We're going to shake this one really, really well, just so that we can make sure that we get it all shaken up. And instead of just smearing it all around the train car like we did before, what we're going to do is we're going to dip it in here. We don't want a lot, and we're just going to do it kind of where you see grime. So what I do is I just kind of push up on the top here, kind of under that little inlet there where the rivets are. I just kind of push it up there, push it into the crevices. And we're going to do this at the top and the bottom of the train car here. And we're going to just push it. We're going to keep it at that bottom area there. We don't want a lot. I kind of flooded it there. But we don't want too much. We don't want too little. We want just the perfect amount so that everything kind of comes together. Just like that. And I always try and do one side first because we want to kind of let this dry a little bit. I like to come down on the sides a little bit, add some here. Just kind of make it a little less uniform. And we're going to come up a little bit, up a little bit, up a little bit. Just like that. And we're going to give it a minute or two to just sit here and dry. So once this is dried enough, I will come back and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so we've kind of let it dry a little bit here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our brush here, the same brush that we had before. We're going to dip our brush in the enamel thinner, and we don't want a lot on here. We want as little as possible on this brush. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our brush and we're just going to streak it downwards. We don't want to go across or anything like that. We want it to go straight up and down, so we want to get it as comfortable as possible so that we can streak it up and down, and we're just going to streak it. I like to start from the top and then I go to the bottom. And this, we kind of want a brush that is kind of older, just so that we can get those streaks going. As you can see, I'll show you guys in a second here. We're kind of getting those streaks going there. Get a little less uniform here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go from bottom to top. You guys can always play around with the timings on these. I like to give it a second to dry, so I'm going to take the train car away for a second so that I can make sure that I'm getting it the way I want it to get to. I don't want it too grimy, but I also don't want it no grime at all. So now it kind of looks like that. It kind of has that glimmer to it, but you can also see that there's like that color variation. It kind of looks like the grime is streaking down instead of it being all uniform. And this stuff is specifically made for this to kind of be a little bit thicker so that it's not all the same here. So I'm just going to touch it up just a little bit. And I just like to do one little section at a time so I can focus everything onto it. So now I'm going to move on to the other side of the boxcar. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it for just a little bit longer to see the difference. I'm kind of still experimenting with this a little bit. But I've gotten completely addicted to weathering train cars now. I've been just doing train car after train car after train car at this point. So we got the top here, and now we have the bottom here. Let's bring this over to the camera. Sorry guys, again, this is my first time doing something like this, so I'm trying my hardest. And we're just going to let this dry for maybe, let's do like 3 or 4 minutes now. And we'll come back to it when it's dry. So I'll see you guys in a second. Alrighty guys, I've let this dry a little bit longer. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put some more enamel thinners on here. Dry the brush off a lot here. And again, we're just going to streak, my bad. We're going to streak just downward. So we're just going to go a downward motion. Again, I probably put way too much enamel thinner on there. And we're just going to want to streak downwards. Get those grime streaks just going down. I like to see it kind of go on the logos there. That's kind of the most cool, I think, in my opinion. So we're going to flip the car around, kind of streak it the other way here. It's okay if it's dried. I'm kind of still experimenting with everything again, so we're going to kind of see how it all turns out here. Don't want to get it too... We don't want to add too much. I might have accidentally added too much here. And we're going to bring it back up at the bottom again. And if you feel like you've added too much, don't be afraid to go in with like a cotton swab or like that piece of paper towel that we had earlier. Or just like what I do is I kind of brush it around like I did with my wash. And I just kind of scrub it off, and then I wipe my brush off to kind of get that excess stuff off. But now I let it dry a little bit more. I think the 4 or 5 minutes is probably best, just because of how it's looking. It's kind of getting that more, it kind of has more of a streak. I kind of wiped it off a little bit there, but it kind of has more of a streak to it instead of it just kind of being like this where it's kind of clumpy. This just has more of a streak to it. So I would say 4 or 5 minutes I would let that stuff sit for, just so that you could get those streaks instead of it just being like another layer of paint here. But again, it's all about what you want. If you want it to look like this, kind of have a little bit of a color variation, then you guys can go for that. But if you guys want that streakiness, I would stick with going for a longer drying time. Get it to dry so that it doesn't just wash away. Still adding a little bit there. But yeah, so that's the streaking grime. I'm going to go around the rest of the train car with the streaking grime, and then I'm going to come back so that we can do the rust. Alrighty guys, so I kind of went over the whole train car with that grime. You can kind of see that it's a little bit more grimy than it was when we started. I know you can't really see the dirt streaks or the grime streaks, but on this F unit I've been working on, you can kind of see the grime streaks a little bit better. They're kind of a little bit more prominent, but yeah, it's looking really nice now. We'll see. I might do some rust on this, just because it's a wooden box car. So yeah, we'll come back and I will show you guys the rust. Alrighty guys, so hopefully this is take 2 because my camera decided to film weirdly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to our rust streaks. So we're going to shake our bottle really, really well because this is more of a paint mixture. You can use any brush you'd like for this. What I found works the best is a really fine point brush here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take it and we're going to dab it. We don't want too much. We're going to dab it right here into like these metal areas. And we're going to let it dry. So we're just going to let it sit here and dry for a good minute. We don't want to let it dry for too long because we don't want that paint to dry all the way. So once it's dried, we will be back. Alrighty guys, so now that the paint's kind of dried a little bit, we are going to take our brush here and we're going to dip it into the enamel thinner. We want to kind of get it dry, and we're just going to streak that rust down just like we did with the grime, but this time instead of going up as well, we just kind of want to go down because rust doesn't really move upwards. There we go. You can kind of see that it's kind of it has that rusted look to it a little bit. You can kind of see that it's kind of streaking down. Let's fix that a little bit. There we go. So yeah, it's kind of got that rust look to it. It's kind of streaking down. I know it's really kind of hard to see, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for. And yeah, so that is the AK Interactive Locomotive Wash Set. I'm not sponsored by AK Interactive or anybody, but I thought, ooh, my phone came off my camera here. So I'll just hold it the rest of the time. So I just thought, though, that since I really loved the AK Interactive weathering set, again, it comes with the neutral gray wash, the streaking grime, and the streaking rust. I just really thought, I really liked this product, and I picked it up myself, my own money, all that stuff, and I really thought that this is a good product for people beginning in the hobby. And I just kind of want to open doors for people that are newer to the hobby, because I don't really see, like, especially, you know, the Vallejo asphalt texture or the AK Interactive stuff anywhere on YouTube. I've kind of seen a couple videos of it, but nothing too crazy, so I thought I would, you know, show it to kind of a smaller group of people to say, like, hey, this is a great product, and use it. Again, not sponsored by anybody, my personal opinion only. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Happy model railroading.